Hey guys, welcome to the video. So this video is going to be basically the 5 most common questions that I get asked on stream from new players, because I think that having uh, all these common questions in one place in one YouTube video that people can just find and just have all this information so readily available is going to be an asset for the game and the game community as a whole. So one of the most common questions I get during my streams are from new players is what deck should I play? Usually I answer Rakano. And the reason I think that Rakano is great for new players is that it doesn't really require too many rares. It doesn't really require any legends. You can play rares and legends. Valkyrie Enforcer is a very good rare to have in the deck. Deep Forge Plate's a good legendary, but you don't need them. A solid Rakano Warcry deck is just going to win a lot of games just by being a solid Rakano Warcry deck. It requires a couple uncommons, Oni Ronin, Sword of Ikaria, and then just a bunch of commons. Rakano Outlaw, Crownwatch Paladin is a good one in the deck. Basically, you're looking for cards that say the word Warcry on them as a keyword, favoring the cheaper ones, like the 1 and 2 cost ones, and then Sword of Ikaria as well. And just trying to snowball an advantage. Get a couple of units on the board, attack your opponent's face, get some bigger things out on the board, attack your opponent's face, the game's over. You're going to want Torch in this deck as well. I might as well mention that. You're going to want Torch in just about any red deck you play. But yeah, the first thing I recommend new players do is craft a Rakano aggressive deck, usually based on the Warcry mechanic. The second most common question I get asked is, what should I spend money on? When new players ask this, they're under the assumption that you need to buy packs in order to get cards, and that's simply not the case. When you do a Forge, which is a single-player game mode, or when you do a Draft, which is a multiplayer game mode, you get to keep every card that you take. So with Forge, you're offered a choice of 3 cards, and you take one, and that card's going to be yours forever, unless you disenchant it for whatever reason. So the reason that I think Forge is very highly recommended for new players as kind of their first way to get their feet wet is, aside from, since you get all the cards, you get to keep all the cards that you draft, you can actually kind of force the colors that you want to draft. If you know that you want to build an aggressive Rakano Warcry deck in Ranked, you can make sure that every card you pick, like all 30 cards or whatever in Forge, are a Justice, which is green, or a Fire, which is red. So this way, the game's only going to offer you, if your first 2 picks are a Fire card and a Justice card, the game's only going to offer you Fire cards and Justice cards for the rest of the draft, thus increasing the likelihood that you're able to pick cards that you actually want in your constructed list. And then the other plus side of doing this, of doing Forge, is that the rewards in Forge are actually quite good. Just by winning a couple of games, your goal is to win 7, but just by winning a couple of games, your gold, you're gonna start seeing your gold go up, your collection get bigger, and then once you're done with Forge, you don't want to do it anymore, you've reached Master, whatever, you can graduate to Draft. And drafting is a similar concept. You get to keep every card that you draft, except you're choosing between a much wider pool of cards, and the game doesn't really care what colors you've already drafted, right? You're gonna get, if you're heavily set in red-green, you might get a pack that has 0 red or green cards. The good news is you don't have to play that card. You have to take a black card, but you don't have to play it because of the way the draft format is set up and the way the drafting works in this game. You don't need to play every card that you draft. So if you want to take that sweet legendary just for your collection, you want to disenchant it or whatever, you can go right ahead and do that. It's not going to affect your deck at all. I get asked a lot, well, what if I suck at drafting? And I think the estimated value, the EV of drafting, is simply high enough that just do it, right? Just do it. Get your ego out of the way. Draft, you get to open 4 packs. You get to take your favorite card out of each of them. Just by doing the draft, you get 4 packs worth of cards. If you take all of the rares and legendaries, that already basically pays for itself. And also, you get 2 silver chests just for drafting, just for doing it. And then every game you win from that point forward is going to increase your prize. All it takes is 2 wins to get to get one pack. And that's really sweet. If you go 2 and 3, you still end up with a pack plus 2 silver chests. So it really doesn't matter if you suck at drafting, if you don't think you're very good at drafting. Just do it. You're gonna find that you get better the more you do it, and the rewards just for doing it, not even for doing well, but just for doing it, are high enough that I think drafting is an excellent choice. So the fourth question, what if I suck at drafting being the third? The fourth question, how hard is the learning curve? And this is a question that I think people are kind of afraid by the structure of the game. It does have a lot of cards. The base set's pretty large. You know, how does attacking and blocking work? You know, if I'm coming from Hearthstone, it's so much different. The combat mechanics are so much different if you're coming from a game like Hearthstone, or even like Duelist or something. And what I say is it does kind of depend on your gaming background, but for the most part, the game is simple enough that you can just pick up and play. The tutorial is very encompassing. The tutorial, aside from being like 3 or 4 hours long, is going to teach you everything you need to know about how the game works. It teaches you how the power and influence system works, how combat works, and then the last question I get asked a lot is the game pay to win? Absolutely not. You honestly don't need to spend a dime, because the game is very, very liberal with giving players things. As a new player, once a week you get a deck just simply given to you. But it's a pre-built deck. It's got a couple of rares, it's got a couple of uncommons, got a couple commons, and you get to keep those cards. And it's the game's way of saying, here's a way to give yourself a fighting chance in ranked, and you can take that deck right into ranked, play a couple of games with it, change it up, add a couple cards. Maybe you drafted the cool legendary that fits in, and they do this like 3 or 4 different times, and that's an entire deck they're giving you. Every game you win, you get a card. Sometimes it's a common, sometimes it's an uncommon. You get gold for every game you win. The prizes in Gauntlet, Forge, and Draft are all pretty liberal. They're pretty, and then the best part is that the chests will upgrade. So if you open a bronze chest which has like 20 gold and a common in it, well, instead of it opening and giving you 20 gold and a common, sometimes it upgrades into a silver chest which has an uncommon and like I forget how much gold, 200 gold I think. Sometimes your silver chest upgrade into a gold chest, and you get a pack. You get a whole pack, and then 500 gold, and then sometimes even your gold chest upgrade to a silver one, where you get a pack, 2,000 gold, and a foily. I call them foilies, but they're called premiums. Usually an uncommon, but sometimes it can even be a rare, or even a legendary sometimes. So no, you don't need to spend any money on the game. Your collection is going to accumulate just fine without spending any money. But sometimes, you know, and I'm guilty of this, I don't feel like grinding ranked. You know, the easiest way to get gold is just grind a bunch of games in ranked or in Gauntlet. And I didn't feel like doing that. So I bought some gems and did a couple of drafts using those gems. And then just kind of used that to jumpstart, and then ended up getting enough gold to draft again, and then got enough gold to draft again. And you know, out of nowhere, you have a pretty full collection. So yeah, I hope this video was able to help, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want more Eternal related news. And then if you can find me on Twitch, you can find me at twitch.tv/theskij and twitter.com/theskij as well. If you like the video, please feel free to leave a comment. I try to respond to every comment I get. And again, thanks for checking out the video, guys.